Your grandmother's ketchup had 5 ingredients. Today's leading brand? 23. And one of those ingredients was originally designed as a preservative for industrial machinery. The ketchup brands spending millions on wholesome advertising are the exact ones you need to eliminate immediately, while the two worth buying are ones you've probably never even noticed. Heinz ketchup sits in 97% of American households. It's practically a national symbol at this point. But here's the thing nobody talks about. 1 tablespoon contains 4 grams of sugar. That's almost a full teaspoon of sweetness hiding in every squeeze. Most people use 3 or 4 tablespoons per meal, which means you're basically adding a sugar packet to your burger without realizing it. And what's providing all that sweetness? High fructose corn syrup. It's the 3rd ingredient on the label, right after tomatoes and vinegar. Multiple studies have linked this cheap sweetener to insulin resistance and fatty liver disease. Not exactly what you want with your fries. Now here's where it gets interesting. That American classic you've been loyal to for decades? It's been Brazilian-owned since 2013. A massive investment firm bought the company, and their focus shifted hard toward cutting costs wherever possible. You might have noticed the taste changed around 2010. Longtime fans complained it became sweeter and lost that tangy kick. That wasn't your imagination. Heinz literally reformulated the recipe to save money. Oh, and that ingredient, tomato concentrate from red ripe tomatoes? Sounds like Grandma's garden, right? It's actually processed paste, not fresh tomatoes. Not even close. The sodium hits 160 milligrams per tablespoon, too. Use a normal amount, and you're looking at almost 500 milligrams just from ketchup alone. But Heinz isn't even the sneakiest offender on this list. Wait until you see what Hunt's pulled with their natural marketing. Hunt's loves to brag about having no high-fructose corn syrup on their label. They practically shout it from the rooftops. But here's the joke they're playing on you. They just swapped it for regular corn syrup. Your liver literally cannot tell the difference. It's like switching from regular cigarettes to light cigarettes and calling yourself a health nut. And that natural flavoring listed in the ingredients? That vague little phrase can legally hide dozens of chemical compounds. The FDA doesn't require companies to tell you what's actually in there. Natural could mean anything from garlic extract to beaver secretions. Yes, that's a real thing used in food flavoring. I wish I was kidding. Now let's talk about where these tomatoes come from. California's Central Valley. Sounds nice, right? Sunny fields, happy farmers. But this region ranks among the highest in America for pesticide use. Those tomatoes are getting sprayed more than a teenager's Axe body spray habit in 2005. Then there's the processing problem. Hunt's heats their tomatoes to such extreme temperatures that most of the lycopene benefits get cooked right out. Lycopene is the whole reason people say tomatoes are healthy. Without it, you're basically eating expensive red paste. Oh, and their parent company, Conagra? They paid $11.2 million in 2022 to settle claims about misleading healthy labels. That's not a typo. 11 million. Makes you wonder what else they're stretching the truth about. But Hunt's isn't the only brand playing label games. French's takes deception to a whole different level. French's Ketchup loves to position itself as the healthier Heinz alternative, the underdog, the better choice. Except it's not. Sure, the sugar content dips slightly lower. But here's where things get sneaky. French's lists spice extractives on the label. Sounds fancy, right? Almost gourmet. In reality, that term covers chemically processed flavor compounds that manufacturers don't have to specify. It's basically a legal loophole dressed up in a chef's hat. And that no artificial flavors claim? Technically true. But their natural flavors can include plant compounds that have been chemically altered in a lab. Natural in the same way my uncle's toupee is natural. It came from somewhere organic, but nobody's fooled. Then there's the vinegar situation. French's uses distilled vinegar derived from genetically modified corn. Not exactly the artisan touch their marketing suggests. Here's what really surprised me, though. McCormick bought French's in 2017 for $4.2 billion. $4 billion for ketchup and mustard. After that acquisition, production shifted hard toward maximizing profit margins. Ingredient quality? Secondary concern at best. The tomato paste is reconstituted with water, too. You're essentially paying premium prices for tomato product that's been diluted and rebuilt. Like buying orange juice from concentrate, but at fresh squeezed prices. Sodium levels? Matches Heinz almost exactly at 160 milligrams per tablespoon. So, if you switched thinking your heart would thank you, it won't notice the difference. But French's problems pale compared to our next brand. Del Monte has been quietly cutting corners in ways that should genuinely concern you. Del Monte, the canned food empire. You probably grew up with their fruit cups in your lunchbox. Seems trustworthy, right? Well, here's where it gets weird. Their ketchup contains calcium chloride. That's a firming agent. Sounds harmless until you learn the same compound gets used for de-icing roads in winter. And in concrete production. Look, I'm not saying Del Monte is literally selling you road salt, but maybe don't put it on your fries? The company filed for bankruptcy in 2020. They bounced back, sure. But emerging from bankruptcy means one thing above all else: cost-cutting. Aggressive, corners being sliced, ingredient quality sacrificing cost-cutting. That's just business reality. And those tomatoes? They're sourced internationally from various countries with, let's call them, flexible pesticide regulations. Unlike American-grown alternatives where we actually know what's being sprayed. With Del Monte, it's a mystery bag every time. Then there's the processing situation. Their tomato concentrate gets stripped down and reconstituted. Basically, they take tomatoes apart, then put them back together like some kind of vegetable Frankenstein. Nutritional value? Lost somewhere in that factory shuffle? Here's what really got me, though. A single bottle contains preservatives engineered to keep it shelf-stable for up to 2 years. 2 years. If bacteria won't touch it for 24 months, maybe we should ask why. Oh, and the sugar? 4.5 grams per tablespoon. That actually beats Heinz. Not a competition you want to win. But at least Del Monte is a name brand. What happens when you go even cheaper? Walmart's Great Value Ketchup has entered the chat. All right, now we're getting into store brand territory. Great Value Ketchup costs about 40% less than Heinz. Sounds like a win, right? Well, there's a reason it's that cheap. Walmart doesn't actually make this stuff themselves. They contract it out to various manufacturers. Different factories, different batches, different quality. The bottle you bought last month might not even come from the same place as the one you're buying today. And here's where it gets interesting. Most brands pick one cheap sweetener. Great Value said, why not both? High fructose corn syrup and regular corn syrup sitting right there on the ingredient list. Double the processed sweetness, double the problems. But the real story is in Walmart's supplier contracts. They squeeze margins so tight that tomato sourcing often goes to whoever bids lowest. We're talking international farms with varying standards that would make American regulators nervous. Now, about those bottles. They'll proudly tell you they're BPA-free. Great news, except the replacement chemicals like BPS might cause similar hormonal issues. It's like switching from regular cigarettes to light cigarettes and calling it a health improvement. I actually tried Great Value ketchup once at a family barbecue. My nephew used the phrase robot tomatoes. Kids got a point. There's this weird metallic aftertaste that lingers. The consistency? Thin, almost watery. Taste tests consistently rank this stuff dead last among major brands. And professional reviewers notice the same problems regular folks do. But store brands aren't the only ones fooling you with fancy labels. Organic ketchup has some secrets too. Organic ketchup. Sounds healthier, right? That little green USDA label practically screams, "Good for you." Well, here's the thing. Nobody at Trader Joe's wants you to think about too hard. Their organic ketchup still packs 4 grams of sugar per tablespoon. Organic cane sugar, sure. But your pancreas doesn't care where the sugar came from. It sees glucose. It spikes insulin. Simple as that. My neighbor switched to this stuff last year, told me she was eating clean now. She was still dumping 4 tablespoons on her eggs every morning. That's 16 grams of sugar before 9 a.m. Clean eating, apparently. And here's what really gets me. You're paying nearly 60% more for this bottle. 60%. For what exactly? Pesticide-free tomatoes? Not quite. Organic certification actually allows certain approved pesticides. That whole pesticide-free thing? Marketing myth. A really expensive one. The sodium sits at 150 milligrams per tablespoon. Same as the cheap stuff at Walmart. Same as Heinz. Your heart gets zero benefit from that premium price tag. Then there's the quality inconsistency. Trader Joe's sources from various organic suppliers, so your ketchup might taste different, bottle to bottle. You're basically gambling with your burger toppings. Oh, and those heavy glass bottles? They're shipped across the country, burning fuel the whole way. Kind of contradicts that eco-friendly image they're selling. Look, organic vegetables? Great choice. Organic ketchup? You're mostly paying extra for a feeling. But Trader Joe's isn't even the sneakiest offender on this list. That title belongs to a brand pretending to be better than its own parent company. Simply Heinz, the clean label version that costs 30% more. And honestly, it's the most insulting product on this entire list. Here's what Heinz figured out. People were catching on to the high fructose corn syrup problem. Sales were dipping. Health-conscious shoppers were leaving. Their solution? Create a slightly different product. Slap "Simply" on the label. And charge more money. Genius marketing. Terrible for your health. Let's look at what actually changed. They swapped high fructose corn syrup for regular cane sugar. That's it. That's the big improvement. Your body doesn't care. Sugar is sugar is sugar. It all becomes glucose. Your pancreas can't tell the difference between simply sugar and regular sugar. Neither can your waistline. The numbers prove it. Simply, Heinz still contains 4 grams of sugar per tablespoon. Still hits 150 milligrams of sodium. Still uses the exact same tomatoes from the exact same supply chain. You're paying premium prices for a marketing story. And here's what really gets me. The Simply branding trend generated $2.4 billion in extra industry sales last year. Billion. With a B. Companies discovered that shorter ingredient lists photograph better for Instagram, and suddenly everyone's wallet opened up. The tomato paste? Same reconstituted product. The vinegar? Same source. The factory? Probably the same building. I fell for this one myself 3 years ago. Thought I was making a healthier choice for my kids. Nope. Just a more expensive, identical choice. But wait, there are actually ketchups worth buying. Now here's where things get interesting. After all that doom and gloom, we finally have a winner. Primal Kitchen flips everything we just talked about completely upside down. Zero added sugar. Not reduced sugar. Not less sugar. Actually, zero. The ingredient list? You could read it to your grandmother over the phone in about 5 seconds. Organic tomatoes, organic balsamic vinegar, organic spices, sea salt. That's it. Done. No mystery chemicals hiding behind fancy names. Mark Sisson founded this company back in 2015 with one mission: create condiments that diabetics and low-carb dieters could actually enjoy without spiking their blood sugar. Revolutionary concept, right? Making food that doesn't slowly poison you. Each tablespoon contains only 10 calories. Regular ketchup? 20. So you're literally cutting your condiment calories in half without sacrificing taste. My wife thought I was crazy when I first bought a $7 bottle of ketchup. 3 weeks later, she refused to go back to the cheap stuff. The tomatoes come from certified organic California farms with actual documented sustainable practices. Not vague marketing claims. Real paperwork. Now here's the plot twist nobody expected. Kraft Heinz bought Primal Kitchen in 2019 for $200 million. I know what you're thinking. Great. Another sellout. But here's the kicker. Maintaining the original recipes and ingredient standards was literally written into the sale agreement. The big guys wanted in on the clean label game so badly, they agreed to keep their hands off the formula. But Primal Kitchen isn't the only hero in this story. Now here's where things get genuinely clever. True Made Foods looked at ketchup and asked a wild question. What if we snuck vegetables into this thing? And honestly, it works. Instead of dumping sugar into the bottle, they puree butternut squash, carrots, and spinach right into the mix. The result? 50% less sugar than traditional brands. Your taste buds barely notice the difference, but your pancreas sure does. Here's what kills me, though. A father invented this because his kids wouldn't eat vegetables. Classic dad move. Can't get them to eat carrots? Fine. Hide the carrots in the ketchup they're already drowning everything in. Genius. And the sneaky part? It actually tastes like regular ketchup. I was skeptical. Figured it would taste like tomato-flavored baby food. But nope, it's good. The health benefits stack up fast. Sodium drops to just 105 milligrams per tablespoon. That's the lowest we've seen today. If your doctor keeps nagging about blood pressure, this one's your friend. True Made also earned non-GMO project verification. Their tomatoes come from American family farms with traceable growing practices. You can literally find out where your ketchup ingredients grew up. Try doing that with great value. Good Housekeeping gave it their Healthy Snack Award. Pediatric nutritionists recommend it for picky eaters. When was the last time a nutritionist recommended ketchup for anything? So between Primal Kitchen and True Made Foods, you've got two legitimate options that won't wreck your health. Everything else we covered today? Toss it. Your fridge just got a whole lot cleaner.